Welcome to the EdTech Chat and Chew podcast, the podcast where four passionate teachers from different parts of the country get together on their lunch breaks to share resources, tips, and ideas to help you empower your students. Each week, we'll do our best to inform and inspire you with the amazing things that are happening in our schools. We're very happy that you've joined us today. And now, here's your host, Diane Smokorowski.
Hi, welcome. Today is February 4th, 2014, and this is EdTech Chat and Chew, episode number 6. And today we're going to be talking about EdTech conferences, what's great about them, how do you make yourself involved in the networks that happen there, and just some good information that's happening from TCEA, where our own Karen is down there today. And Andrea is there as well, but she's involved in another meeting, so she's going to join us, virtually, but not all at the same time. And also we're going to be talking about an update of our Valentine project, how it's going, the Virtual Valentines. But just to say hello, I am Diane Smokorowski from Kansas. Always with me is Mike from Pennsylvania.
Hello there.
Karen from Texas.
Hello.
And then Andrea, of course, who's not with us today. But Karen, I'm going to toss it to you first. What's happening at TCEA?
Well, I'm over here at TCEA, and there's lots of different sessions available for, I would say, anybody, library, media specialists, K through 12. For me, I just have to say something that I'm doing new this year is I'm joining a SIG group, which is a special interest group, and I found that TCEA has lots of groups where you can get together and be a part of a community. So I just registered for a Camp SIG, which is for Campus Instructional Technology Specialists. So you can network with other instructional technology specialists. It's only $10, so I figured it was worth trying it out and being involved in the community so I can share what I'm doing and learn from other people and ask advice and have another community. And then a Tech SIG, which is a special interest group for, I'd say, technology coordinators. But I'm interested in that just to see the whole big picture and to grow. Lots of sessions about inspiring teachers, lots of sessions on learning about Google and the cloud and iPads. There's just so much going on over here.
I love that. And it's really cool that you have a section there for just tech integration specialist. Do you have something like that in Pennsylvania, Mike?
Well, I haven't been to PETE&C for the last 2 years. I'm going to be down there starting on Monday. And so I'm not exactly sure yet, and I'll be able to give you a better update when we record next week. But I know when we were down at ISTE a couple years ago, and that's a fantastic conference. If that's ever available to any of our listeners, I would highly recommend that one. I know that there were a lot of special interest groups, and on every possible different branch of educational technology, and it's a great way to get involved with other people that have great ideas and think the way you do and do the same job as you. It's another great way to network.
I love that. We don't have an organized group of those of us who are tech integrationists here in Kansas. We do network using the Twitter Monday chats with KSEd, hashtag KSEd, but we don't have our own little network, and I think it's really powerful. That's one of the things that I love about our EdTech Chat and Chew is that the three of us do that role. Yeah. And then we have each other to bounce ideas and collaborate and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Okay, so Karen, anything else that's kind of the aha or, hey, I wish you guys could definitely check this out from TCEA?
Over here at TCEA, let's see, I'm kind of learning about things as I go around. What's kind of neat is I saw I'm trying to think of the robot. Anyway, there's this robot. I'm trying to think of the actual word for it, but it's an iPad on a little robot rolling around, and somewhere I've heard in the Bloggers Cafe that you can go, and I haven't found it, and control this robot. So I'm dying to try it out, but it's just kind of wheeling around here, and so it's just neat to see some things that I've heard about, like actually being utilized here. So we've got, bloggers controlling it, meeting people while they're not, walking around. They're sitting in the Bloggers Cafe. I don't know, just a lot of neat things. I can't wait to check out the vendors and see some of the new things that are available. I'm just taking it, one day, 1 hour at a time.
Mike, what do you like about EdTech conferences?
Probably the most powerful and wonderful thing about going to a conference, EdTech or otherwise, but especially EdTech, is that there's people through Twitter, through Facebook, that you've done great work with, that you've bounced ideas off, that you've come to really respect as teachers and as educators, that you've never actually met before, even though you feel like you know them. And that aha moment where you get to meet them face to face and be like, hey, I've followed you for years, or I've read your blog. That experience is something that I've never experienced anywhere else other than at conferences, and it's something that's just so wonderful.
I mean, doesn't it make you feel like you're meeting rock stars? Like you're like, wow, I follow you. You're they're famous to me, you know? And
yes.
It's just, I love your work. It's awesome.
Yes. And then there's also that aha moment where people come up to you that you didn't know followed you and said, wow, I've read your blog, or so it's kind of that cyclical thing that's going on, and it's just so cool.
Yeah, it is.
These are our teacher Yodas,
Yes.
And to see them in person, I mean, the first time that I got to meet you, Mike, in person was pretty cool. And, we had talked for a lot of time in Plurk and so forth, but to meet in person is like, hey, it's like my long-lost brother. It's exciting to meet you. And Karen, when you came here to Kansas last year, I was like, yay, I've known her forever, but to meet her in person, it was, it's those little highlights of life. It makes me excited. So definitely networking is one of the most powerful pieces of any of the EdTech conferences, or any conference for that matter. Just getting to know other teachers' stories. Where are you from? What's your district's philosophy? And we're dealing with a problem of struggling with maybe looking at a one-to-one. How do you guys solve that? It's incredible.
Yeah, and what I found, and you can kind of chime in on this and see if you see the same thing, Diane, but when the first couple of conferences you go to, you spend a lot of time in sessions. Mm-hmm. And as time goes on more and more, you spend more time having informal conversations with people that you've networked with or met about those things that you just talked about. Because, I mean, the sessions are still great and important, and you try and get to as many of them as you can. But those relationships that you build and the information that you can get from people that are having similar experiences is just as valuable as any of the sessions that's going on.
Definitely.
I completely agree. I think that's the reason why the Bloggers Cafe, maybe that's why you were there a little bit today. Sharon, yes?
Definitely. Digital squares, there's all sorts of little meeting areas here, and so that's, I mean, it's nice. You can go sit down, talk with some people, learn. Some of them are devising their own little sessions in there, and so you're learning from each other. It's cool. It's really cool.
Well, and even if you're not somebody who follows a lot of people in networks like we're speaking of, and you're just going to your first EdTech conference, go to the Bloggers Cafe, and you're welcomed. It's like a family you never had before. And they welcome you with open arms and say, hey, what's happening in your world? Where you're from? Join our family.
Yes.
It's a great place to network. And for myself, what I really love about going to conferences is I seek out the poster sessions on purpose. I mean, I can go sit through a 40-minute session or an hour-and-a-half session, but I feel like I'm missing out because there's so much to take in. You have to, like you said earlier today, Karen, you have to take in little pieces hour by hour, moment by moment. If you go to the poster sessions, that allows for the one-to-one dialogue that you really can't have in a large group setting.
Wow, I'm going to take that tip because I have never been to a poster session, so I'm going to look for one while I'm here.
Yeah, it's an excellent tip.
It's dynamic. And whenever I do apply to teach or run a session at like ISTE or one of those of the big events, I always put in for a poster because I get to talk to people.
That's
people aren't walking out in the middle of my conversation because they're feeling like they've got to go 2 or 3 things. I can do my spiel in 10, if not 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Start the dialogue, and they can take the meat that they need and run and go to the next thing.
Yeah, and I think that's a nice segue into, I think we should really tell our listeners if they haven't experienced or heard of ed camps before. I would like to definitely bring that up, and I know all of us have been involved in one way or another, either attending or organizing ed camps. And ed camp is a very informal, free conference that's put on, usually sponsored by some different ed tech companies, but it's not necessarily an ed tech conference. It's just a bunch of teachers getting together on a Saturday and talking about the things that they most care about and most want to learn about. And I know, Diane, you're in the process of putting one together now, right?
Mm-hmm. I sure am. We haven't set a date yet, but we're looking at this summer to host the second Kansas Ed Camp, and super excited about it. And Mike, you're building one too.
Yeah, we're set at the University of Scranton on May 10th. We're going to have Ed Camp Northeastern Pennsylvania, NEPA, for the first time. And we can put links to all of these in the show notes page.
Mm-hmm.
But if you've never been to a EdTech conference before, any kind of conference, and you want to get your feet wet, ed camps are definitely the way to do it because there's no cost. It's on a Saturday, so you don't have to get days from your district to be able to do it. There's been 300 or so all over the world, so you can probably find one near you. And most importantly, you get together in the morning and there's a blank session board, and if there's something that people want to talk about or there's something that people are passionate about, they put it up on the session board, and the conference is built by the people who are attending. So everybody gets exactly what they need out of it. It's so much fun. There's usually free stuff being given away. It's just an awesome experience.
Have you ever been, Karen?
I have. In fact, El Paso. My first ed camp was in El Paso, and I was a part of putting it together. Not necessarily the the person who organized the entire event, but we had two, and they were great. But we haven't had an ed camp in El Paso last year we didn't have one. And so what I decided was, well, there's not one here in El Paso. I'm going to seek out one, and I saw lots of tweets about the Dallas ed camp, and so I made the 10-hour drive to Dallas. Wow. And it was so worth it. It really was. My sister lives there, so there was another ulterior motive there, learning, see my sister, great. But it was so worth it because everywhere you go, people are doing something a little bit different. I mean, same ideas, but just things that you gather when you're completely out of my comfort zone. I didn't know anybody, just a couple people on Twitter, and I got to meet them, network, and actually, Andrea was there. It was great.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and I gained so much just from going and being a part of building sessions, and it was awesome. I totally recommend it. I think I'm going to become an EdCamp junkie and try to just go to as many as I can get to that are a driving distance. Free. They're free.
And they are totally addictive. Once you've gone to one, you can't get enough because it's just such a great experience. No, so here's a question I have for you guys, and Andrea wanted us to bring it up. Tell me about Podstock, because I've been dying to get out there for years, and I know both of you have been before, and I'm not going to be able to get out there again this summer, and it just sounds like the coolest thing ever.
Podstock is awesome. It is like a conference you've never been to before. And when I talk about that Bloggers Cafe family, it's very much that same kind of family together. And what's interesting about it is it's not a big conference. It only houses around 200, if not 250 people. And gosh, and Karen, help me with this if I'm off beat just a little bit. But what you get at Podstock is a group vision, a unified vision of people who want to see amazing things happen for kids. It's not about learn this little app or learn this little nugget of something. This is more about a conversation of philosophy for change in ed reform. Would you say that, Karen?
I would say definitely, yes. Definitely. Can I share a little bit about my experience at Podstock?
Yes.
Sure. Yeah, I'd love to hear.
So first off, I heard about Podstock from my sister, who's like, she's a diehard Podstock, attendee anyway. And presents as well, and she would talk about it, and every time she'd come back, she would just be so inspired about her mission and teaching and just excited, right? And I was like, I need some food for my soul. I want to go and be inspired. I want to be around these teachers that love teaching. And so I saved up my money because, of course, my my district is not, rich. They can't pay me to go to everything. So I saved up my money and decided I was going to venture out, and I didn't know anybody there personally. Andrea wasn't able to make it. And so I went, and I think that entire time I only ate one meal by myself, and that was the first one right after I checked in. And immediately I was adopted. There were people that were inviting me to come eat, and I kind of went as a loner. I didn't really know anybody. Just so friendly and so willing to share, and it was the little party. I was just excited about how much fun everyone was having learning. It was refreshing. I'm going back. Saving my money.
It sounds awesome, and I feel like the people that go to Podstock are my tribe, and I haven't gotten to hang out with them yet, but that's my tribe there.
I would agree with that, definitely. And it's the best commute for me because it's only 15 minutes from my house. So if you guys have come to Kansas, we definitely welcome you to the family. Come on this direction.
Well, one of these years I'm definitely getting out there.
Hey, the smokehouse always has open door policy for the soft schools, always. So you definitely come on down. And for the Balbeers, come on down.
Woohoo!
The best part about Podstock, and I should say this, is it's led by Kevin Honeycutt. So if you don't follow him, you need to investigate who this is.
Yeah, and actually, he's given the keynote address on Monday down at PETE&C, so I'll get to go.
Oh, excellent!
I'll get to go see him again down there. Yeah.
Okay, I
Give him
hear
a high
he's
five
here
from us.
today. I'm sorry,
did you
I
see him
interrupted.
today?
He's here today. No, I know that he's on his way, so I will see him at some point today. But I'm so excited because he inspires me too.
Definitely,
his vision.
definitely. Yeah. And beyond that, there's always a theme every year. This year, it's all about superheroes, and you've seen the T-shirts. I teach. What's your superhero power? What's your superpower? Or something like that. It's along those lines. And teachers are superheroes. We may be, for some students, the only positive part of their whole day.
Right.
So what can we do to take that power and actually give it to a kid so that he can go save the day in another realm? Maybe he wants to be an engineer. Maybe he wants to be a marine biologist. Maybe he wants to be a teacher. But how do we help him find that mission? So I'm excited.
Good stuff.
Good stuff. Okay, so we're running out of time, so let's talk about the Virtual Valentine update. Mike, how many people do we have involved?
We have 132 classrooms in 69 different locations on 5 different continents who are going to be exchanging virtual Valentines and learning about each other's locations and sharing all that information on the internet. So it's grown into something bigger than any of us expected and something that is totally incredible.
It is incredible. Looking at the map as I put it together, and especially when we put the last little registered folks on that, I thought, wow, how did one little idea blossom into such a dynamic experience for so many kids? So I am crazy excited about it. People are going to be sharing with us their Virtual Valentine links this next week, so definitely have to check out our website and our project website, thevirtualvalentines.weebly.com, to see what other people are working on.
Yeah.
And
if you didn't...
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
If people are excited about it and they weren't able to get in this year, don't worry. Next year we'll let you know nice and early so that you can sign your classroom up.
Definitely. And Karen, you've had a lot of teachers from El Paso join in.
Yes, I'm so excited about that. I am so excited. Lots of teachers from El Paso joining in. It makes my heart happy. First off, I know that's Andrea's term, but I am stealing it. It does. They're excited about collaboration, and so this is going to be an exciting week coming up just to see what they're doing and the connections that they make.
Excellent. I'm looking forward to it. Anything else, Mike?
No, I think that covers it.
Okay. Karen, any last thoughts from TCEA?
No, but I will be sharing and tweeting my experiences. I tweeted out from this last session I went to that was about inspiring teachers. I tweeted the back channel, the today's meet, and so I'll be sharing some of the things that I find along the way, and I'll put some things in the show notes too. So
great.
Awesome. Okay, my friends, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for EdTech Chat and Chew this week. We love getting together to learn from each other, and we're happy you were able to spend a little bit of your time with us today. You can make sure that you don't miss an episode by subscribing to the podcast on iTunes or to our YouTube channel. If you enjoy the podcast and you got a few good ideas today, please take a second to leave us a review on iTunes. Leaving a review is a great way to let others know about the show. Show notes and more information about topics from today's episode can be found on our website, edtechchatandchew.weebly.com. If you have questions for us or would like to give us some feedback, drop us an email at edtechchatandchew@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you, and we'll try and get your questions answered on future shows. On behalf of the podcast team, I'd like to wish you a week filled with all of the amazing things that make teaching the best job in the world. Make sure you join us next week when we discuss our favorite presentation tools and go beyond PowerPoint. See you next time. Until then, keep on learning.